When we think of billionaires, we picture mansions, private jets, and luxury beyond imagination. But what if I told you one of the richest men alive still lives in the same modest house he bought in 1958? What if I told you he drives an ordinary car, eats breakfast at McDonald's, and drinks Coca-Cola every single day? That man is Warren Buffett. Known as the Oracle of Omaha, Buffett has built a fortune worth tens of billions. He could own castles, fleets of cars, or islands in paradise. But instead, he chooses a life of simplicity. Why? Because Warren Buffett knows a secret, a truth that so many of us forget in the chaos of chasing more. That wealth is not measured by what you spend. It is measured by what you keep, by how you live, and by what truly brings you peace. In a world obsessed with luxury, Buffett reminds us that happiness does not come from buying more things, but from understanding what is enough. This video is not just about money. It's about life. It's about freedom. It's about the lessons Warren Buffett has quietly lived by for decades. Lessons that could change the way you think about success, wealth, and simplicity. So let's step into the world of Warren Buffett. Not the world of stock markets and billions of dollars, but the world of timeless wisdom hidden in his simple way of living. Because maybe the real question is not, how do I get richer? But instead, how do I live simply enough to truly feel rich? Warren Buffett. The name itself has become a symbol of wisdom, patience, and extraordinary success. Born in Omaha, Nebraska in 1930, Buffett was not born into luxury or power. He was a boy with a paper route, delivering newspapers in the cold mornings, saving every penny he could. From a young age, he was fascinated by numbers, by the stock market, by the idea that money could grow when placed in the right hands. But what set Buffett apart was not just his talent for investing, it was his philosophy. His ability to see wealth not as a tool for showing off, but as a tool for freedom, for independence, for peace of mind. Over decades, Buffett built Berkshire Hathaway into one of the most successful companies in history. He became one of the wealthiest men on earth, often ranked alongside Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos. Yet, if you met him on the street, you might not even notice. No flashy suits, no bodyguards, no entourage, just a humble man in glasses with a warm smile who still lives in the same quiet neighborhood he grew up in. People call him the Oracle of Omaha, not just because of his uncanny ability to predict markets, but because of the timeless wisdom he shares, wisdom about patience, discipline, generosity, and above all, simplicity. Warren Buffett is proof that you don't need extravagance to be great. That true greatness often hides behind humility. And that's why his lessons matter today more than ever. Because he shows us a different kind of wealth, one not measured in mansions or cars, but in clarity, discipline, and peace. Look around at the world we live in today. Everywhere, we are told that success means more. More money, more cars, more clothes, more luxury. Social media shows us highlight reels of lives dripping with excess. Celebrities flaunting their mansions, influencers posing with designer brands, ads screaming at us to buy, and so we chase. We work longer hours. We take on more debt. We sacrifice our time, our health, our peace, all for the illusion of wealth. But here's the truth. For many, this chase never ends. The moment we buy something new, the satisfaction fades, the hunger grows, and suddenly we're running in a race with no finish line. A bigger house, a newer phone, a fancier car, yet still, we feel empty. Because the problem is not that we don't have enough. The problem is that we don't know what enough truly means. In this endless cycle, wealth becomes a prison. We own more things, but in reality, our things begin to own us. And in the middle of this noise, Warren Buffett's voice cuts through like a whisper of truth. A reminder that wealth is not about how much you can spend, but how wisely you can live. He stands as living proof that happiness does not come from extravagance, but from simplicity, discipline, and knowing what truly matters. And that is where his lessons begin. Lessons that challenge the very foundation of how the modern world defines success. One of Warren Buffett's most powerful lessons is also the simplest. Live below your means. It sounds obvious. It sounds almost boring. But in practice, it's a truth that most people never follow. Buffett, despite being worth tens of billions, still lives in the same modest home he bought in Omaha in 1958 for just $31,500. No marble palace, no sprawling estates, just a comfortable house filled with memories, nothing more, nothing less. Why? Because Buffett understands that wealth is not about showing the world what you can buy. It's about securing your freedom. It's about creating a margin of safety for your life. It's about never being trapped by debt or by the need to constantly impress others. When you live below your means, you take control. You free yourself from the cycle of endless spending. You gain power, the power to save, to invest, to grow, to breathe. And here's the irony. People think living simply is about sacrifice. But in truth, it's about liberation. You're no longer weighed down by the pressure to keep up with others. You're no longer chained to a lifestyle you can't afford. Instead, you discover something priceless: peace of mind. Buffett once said, "If you buy things you don't need, soon you will have to sell things you do need." A warning to all of us that overspending eventually takes away more than it gives. So lesson 1 is clear. Don't chase status. Don't chase appearance. Build a life where your expenses are always lower than your income, because in that gap lies the foundation of real wealth. If there is one investment Warren Buffett calls the best investment you will ever make, it is not stocks. It is not real estate. It is not even Berkshire Hathaway. It is yourself. Buffett has said again and again, the most important investment you can make is in yourself. Think about it. Stocks rise and fall. Markets boom and crash. But the skills you learn, the discipline you build, the knowledge you carry, those stay with you for life. As a young man, Buffett was terrified of public speaking. He knew this fear would hold him back. So he took a course at Dale Carnegie, forcing himself to stand up and speak in front of strangers. That one decision changed his future. It gave him the confidence to lead, to inspire, to persuade, and he still keeps that certificate of completion in his office today, framed right where he can see it, because to him, it was one of the most valuable investments he ever made. Investing in yourself means reading, learning, asking questions, developing new skills, improving your health, sharpening your mind. It means never stopping your growth, no matter your age. And here's the truth. When you become a little wiser each day, when you improve even just 1% at a time, the compound interest on yourself is greater than any stock in the world. Buffett reminds us money can be lost, spent, or stolen. But what you put into yourself, no one can ever take away. So lesson 2 is simple, yet life-changing. Before you try to grow your bank account, grow yourself. Because when you invest in the best version of you, everything else will follow. Warren Buffett has more money than almost anyone on the planet. But he knows something that most people forget. Money can always be earned again. But time, once it's gone, it never returns. Buffett has said many times, "I can buy anything I want, but I can't buy time." Think about that. This is a man worth over $100 billion, yet even he cannot add a single extra hour to his life. And so, he guards his time with extreme care. He fills his calendar only with what truly matters. He spends hours reading, thinking, and simply being still. He avoids unnecessary meetings, endless commitments, and shallow distractions. Why? Because Buffett understands that wealth is useless if you don't have the freedom to enjoy your days. Too many of us spend our lives trading time for money, only to realize, too late, that the time we gave away was far more valuable than the money we earned. We rush. We hustle. We fill our schedules to the brim. And in doing so, we sacrifice the very thing we can never get back: our moments of peace, our time with loved ones, our chance to truly live. Buffett teaches us that the richest people are not those with the biggest bank accounts, but those who control their own time. So, lesson 3 is clear. Protect your hours. Guard your days. Because money may build comfort, but time builds a life worth living. So what can we truly learn from Warren Buffett? Not just how to make money, Not just how to invest in the stock market, but how to live. Lesson 1. Live below your means. Because true wealth is freedom, not appearances. Lesson 2. Invest in yourself. Because the greatest compound interest is the growth of your own mind and character. Lesson 3. Value time over money. Because time is the one currency you can never earn back. These lessons are not about billions of dollars. They are about building a life of meaning, security, and peace. Think of Buffett himself, one of the wealthiest men alive, yet happiest in a simple house. Eating a modest meal, spending his days reading, learning, and cherishing the work he loves. His life is proof that wealth and simplicity can walk hand in hand. And maybe that's the deepest truth of all. It's not about having everything. It's about needing less. It's about choosing wisely what you spend your money on, and even more wisely, what you spend your time on. Buffett's wisdom invites us to step off the treadmill of endless wanting and onto the path of steady growth, lasting freedom, and quiet joy. So ask yourself, what would change in your life if you lived a little simpler? If you invested just a bit more in yourself each day? If you began to value your time as much as your paycheck? Because that is the art of wealth. And that is the simplicity that makes a life truly rich.